Hello everyone, I'm Afaf Kanja and welcome to South News. We're very happy to have joining us today the permanent representative of Fiji to the United Nations, Ambassador Peter THOMSON. Ambassador THOMSON, thank you for joining us here on South News.
Nice to be here.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you. From the top, really, it's so imperative to talk about security and climate change. As typhoons are increasing, as hurricanes are, of course, been hitting Fiji, and reportedly sea levels are rising on a very visual sense to Fijians. So climate change isn't a debate, if you will. It's a real issue that's imposing, Fijians today. Tell us what the government of Fiji has been doing, is doing in terms of short-term and long-term strategies for its security.
Look, security and climate change, you may know, is coming before the Security Council in July during Germany's presidency. To a large extent, this is because of the German government having listened to IOSIS, of which Fiji is a member, and to the Pacific Small Island Developing States, of which obviously Fiji is a member as well. This has been central to the work of the small island states at the United Nations to bring the world's attention to exactly what you describe, rising sea levels in particular, which are a major threat. In Fiji's case, we have over 360 islands, many of which are high volcanic islands. So our existence is not threatened, but many of our neighbors, Marshall Islands, Tuvalu, Kiribati, which are atoll republics, their very existence is threatened because sea levels are predicted to rise over the next 90 years by somewhere between 1.5 meters, if you want to be hopeful, and 2 meters if you want to be careful. So a 2-meter rise really does extinguish the available land of these atoll republics. So it's a huge security issue. To answer your question of what we're doing to address that, well, we've brought it before the United Nations at all levels, including, as I say, the Security Council level. And obviously our attention is mainly focused on the UNFCCC process, which all of the Pacific Islands, including Fiji, play a very active role in. A meeting in Bangkok is just finished. So at the international level, this is what we're doing, and it's, as I say, central to our work. As far as what we're doing back home, it's both adaptation and mitigation. We have, in our Ministry of Defense, we have set up an organization called DISMAC, which looks at everything from better forecasting systems, better warnings and so on, to better measures to take during cyclones, which, as you say, hit us regularly now, and also to address the more long-term issues of infrastructure development, where that should go to cope with all this.
Ambassador THOMSON, let's cross over to the Millennium Development Goals. Where is Fiji on target, and where does Fiji possibly need help in attaining these goals by, and of course, ongoingly after 2015?
Look, on the MDGs, we've done reasonably well. There are some areas where our report card needs improvement. But for example, in the MDG 1, we have not done particularly well. And I put that down to the effects of urbanization. We've got a very rapidly urbanizing population, and so that is one big effect. Then there's also the global economic effects of the economic downturn around the world, and that inevitably, with rising food prices and with slower levels of investment, foreign investment, is going to have an effect on the economic activity in the country, thereby the income and thereby poverty. So MDG 1, the eradication of extreme poverty and hunger, we will probably not meet our goal by that time. On 2, we've done very well indeed. We will meet that goal. We have a 99% school enrollment at primary school level, so that one is
congratulations.
Is
That's
in
key.
Good shape. Yeah. On MDG 3, a mixed result. This is on promotion of gender equality and empowerment of women. There has been, under the Fiji government's current reform program, a lot of work done in this area, but takes time to flow through. There's recent regulations about 30% of all boards and committees have to have 30% has to be women on the boards and committees, and so that'll all take time to flow through, but it's all being put into action now. I was very encouraged to see a report recently where at our university, the University of South Pacific, there were more women than men enrolling in science and technology, which I think augurs well for more gender empowerment in that area. As far as MDG 4 is concerned, the reduction of child mortality, we've done well in that. We're on target, which is the same with MDG 5, the reduction of maternal mortality. We're on target for both of those too. MDG 6 on HIV, unfortunately we can't say that we're on target because there has been an increase in the HIV trends in Fiji. But we are really addressing this very positively. Our head of state is the South Pacific representative for UNAIDS, and he's very forthright in his campaign to address the scourge of HIV/AIDS. And in fact, he'll be attending the conference here in June, which is being held at the UN. On MDG 7, ensuring environmental sustainability, again, we get a pass mark on that, and it's obviously, a big part of it relates to our concern on climate change. So we've passed recent regulations on REDD+, the saving of forests, and obviously a lot of targeting on oceans with sustainable fisheries management, that sort of thing. As far as MDG 8 is concerned, development of a global partnership for development, we again have got a fairly mixed result on this just because of the increasing national debt and the reliance on that. So overall, done reasonably well. We're going to meet our targets on 4 of the 8 MDGs, and there's only one of them where you could say that we are not doing well. The other 3, we've got reasonable results, but we're not on target yet.
Well, from what you've shared with us, it sounds like the government is quite forthright about it and also very committed within its national plan.
Very
so that's
much
very
so.
promising.
Very much so. Every one of our ministers brings MDGs into their speeches. That's very apparent, yes.
Ambassador, let's cross over to sustainable development. As a small island developing state, how do you sort of sustain yourself as a small nation within the caucus of your neighboring 11 states, and in terms of really truly sustaining it in a business sense, right,
yes.
and development?
Yes. Look, regionalism has always been very strong in the Pacific Islands. So we're going back hundreds of years in saying that. We've shared institutions, and Fiji, for geographical reasons and for transport reasons, is something of a hub in the Pacific Islands. So we host 3 universities in Fiji, one of which is the Regional University of the South Pacific. We have the main civil aviation hub at Nandi Airport, so we tend to, we've had a regional airline called Air Pacific, which services out to all the islands, as well as having the connections between Australia, New Zealand, and Asia and North America. Other areas of cooperation have been in regional organizations such as the Pacific Community, which is based in Noumea, the Forum Secretariat, which is based in Fiji, and the Melanesian Spearhead Group, which is based in Vanuatu. So in all these groups, we work very closely together as countries. Here at the United Nations, we have an organization called PSIDS, which is the Pacific Small Island Developing States. We meet at a heads of mission level, the 11 Pacific Island countries that are based here in New York. We meet at a heads of mission level once a month. In fact, we're going away for a retreat this weekend coming up, where we discuss issues of common concern to us, current resolutions, draft resolutions at the UN, that sort of thing, and strategies for things like climate change and what we should be doing about it and so on. So we caucus once a month. We also have a working committee which meets at the next level down in our missions and is very active. So in this way, with our small resources as small island countries, we can actually group together and be something of a force. I mean, 11 votes at the United Nations out of 192 members is quite a few votes.
But powerful just as much, right? There's strength in numbers and unity, at least.